Please prepare yourself for a guided meditation, sitting comfortably and placing your hands in a comfortable posture, closing your eyes. Your neck and head are resting on your spine, so your body aligned properly, asymmetrically, in proper posture, a posture that may appear to you as a meditation posture, upright position, shoulders at ease, eyelids are gently closed. You are inhaling and exhaling and noticing your in breath and the out breath. As you quickly scan your body from head to toes, you can see the signals that this body is giving to you, and you pay attention to them. This is an act of loving kindness. Notice the 6 ways that you can be distracted: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, physical sensations, and thinking. So, physical sensations include skin contact. When you are seated properly and your eyes closed and you are not tasting or smelling anything, your thoughts may be active, thinking about things. So we use breath that is colorless, shapeless, and ever present to gain tranquility, unification of mind. And there will be less and less thoughts. As you begin to pay attention to your breath, notice that you are mindfully breathing in, mindfully breathing out. Taking a long breath, you know it, whether you are inhaling or exhaling. When your breath becomes subtle and shorter, you begin noticing this between long and short breaths. There's mind that if it is wandering, you bring it back to your breath. So you are sensitive to your inhaling and exhaling, sensitive to your breathing experience. You breathe in and breathe out. Now calming your breath, and that means tranquilizing your bodily formations. You breathe in and breathe out without losing touch of the subtlest form of your breath and catching its presence and continuing that attention through and through. opening the gate to the place beyond these six sense faculties. You still stay with your breath, noticing that you are inhaling and exhaling. In that space beyond in your mind, away from the bodily experience so much. You see seclusion, freedom, gladness,
Sorry, I'm still not sure about that.
and they arise from the freedom from sensual experiences. Your acceptance and letting things be, and letting things go, involving your past and future, fully embracing this moment. Making space for tranquility, calmness, and peace, permeating your body with this mental peace, so the mind and body become one unit, leaning more toward calmness and peace. Noticing the happiness of freedom from the sensual world, you continue this practice with patience and acceptance, welcoming more and more moments of happiness. Knowing with true knowledge that we can never silence the world by looking at our own reaction, seeing that anger can be provoked by an external stimuli, seeing that anger can be abandoned for lasting peace and happiness. You begin cleansing your mind from the impurities and the obstacles, distractions that cause these impurities. By remaining calm amidst the storm, with the strongest determination to look at the world through peaceful eyes, faithing with the moisture of kindness and love, and remain silent with loving kindness inwardly and outwardly. We will end this meditation with an openness to learning some teachings this evening. Okay. This day I thought I can take a different approach instead of studying some sutra, but have an open-ended discussion about dealing with addiction. Because we are recording this, I will put this into YouTube, and if it comes out good, people will be benefited from having that support. And we as monks living here in the center of Cambridge, we want to also let people know that we are here if they are dealing with any form of addiction. Because we see now with the availability of psychedelics and drugs and recreational drugs and painkillers and pain substances, you just take your license and go to a store and they check your age and you are given these. It's so easy. Vaping has become an addiction. And I met this psychiatrist. She said among school children, vaping has become a huge issue. And when it was banned, they started coming out in different forms. So they have these plastic ones, and these children don't have this common sense that they just use it and flush it down the toilet. So the second biggest problem is having these drains clogged with the plastics. So somehow or the other, we know someone who's dealing with some form of addiction and trapped in that experience. The root cause of this is ignorance. Ignorance is the root cause of anything. Basically, with addiction, we have attachment and ignorance as the root cause of anything. That is part of the dependent origination. Things arise dependent on one thing. When this is there, then that thing will be there. And these people are often good at talking. They can convince others that they are good at dealing with day-to-day life until they are not able to deal with day-to-day life properly. They are highly successful in their lives until when they are not, until their brain stops supporting them and telling them that you can't work anymore. You have to now somehow find a way to survive. And that means they break the precepts. Breaking precepts involves stealing, telling lies, and abusing credit cards, overusing them, or using some other people's addresses or parents' credit cards. And so going on in a loop and not being able to come out of it because their brain tells that you need more excitement. So brain chemistry is something that can be controlled by substances, of course. For example, someone who's dealing with depression will be given a certain form of medication that I will not mention here publicly, because these are different for each individual. And when it is given, it blocks certain chemicals being produced in the brain. And that way they stay numb for a period of time. And as a result, the recursive thoughts of depression will eventually vanish and they may be able to come out of depression. But also, some people become suicidal with these medications because there is intense controlling within the system, and that they control and control, and eventually they fail and give up on life. So talking about these things help someone in the society at least come talk to us. They have marijuana anonymous meetings out there in the world, in this society. People go to these. And then they fall back into the trap and they break their vows and they keep failing. But these are normal human beings and they are good at hiding this for 15 to 20 years. And when they no longer can hide it, then it has already become a problem to themselves. Part of the problem is that when these people come to us, we say, are you ready to come to the middle path? If not, we are not able to help them because they are in an extreme. And I know this one young person, at the time I was working as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital. At night shift, this young man who was brain dead was brought to the hospital, and he was having flowers in his hand to go see his girlfriend as he was traveling in the train. So at the end of that train stop, he wanted to meet his girlfriend. But that plan didn't work well according to his wish. But now he is brain dead, overdosed, and his parents start to know that he has been using some form of drugs. And it is for the first time that his girlfriend is known to the extended family now. And she's sobbing on one side. And the hospital is talking about using his organs so that he become an organ donor. Because when he's declared brain dead, that's it. Most of the time that there's no recovery from it. And parents are now, for the first time, discussing about what went wrong, but it's already gone wrong. And behind these stories, we see that unresolved issues from the childhood affect these teenagers or adults, and disputes between parents affect these children. When parents are going through a divorce, sometimes children worry about saying the wrong thing from the mother to the father, and that pressure is built in them. And this can affect them for a long time. And when people are dealing with some unresolved pain, it's oftentimes not known when you have a relief from that pain or whether you even had that pain in you. This example of our friend, he's a chiropractor, he's retired now and moved to Hawaii. He shared an experience of him when he had this pain, excruciating pain in his body. And he knows his body very well, being a chiropractor. But he was in this camping trip and he just couldn't turn. There was this pain that he didn't know how to get rid of. So he came home and his mother-in-law is a massage therapist. And she offered a good massage. And she pressed this one side somewhere at the back of his body. And he started sobbing. He didn't know why. And now, after that experience, he connected it with abandonment. When he was a child, that he was living at a certain place and he needed to get to his parents and he couldn't. And that pressure was built in him, and it was later, many years later, that it was resolved in that moment. And then we say it's okay to cry, it's okay to shed tears. Being a man, it's okay you cry, or being a woman, it's okay to cry. But it's spontaneous, that it comes out at this, it was waiting for an opportunity to come out. So we all have a past where we may have been verbally abused, financially abused, unattended to, emotionally unattended to. And it's from the people that we trusted the most, teachers, parents, siblings. And it's like the body keeping a record of these. And then when we become adults, we lose control of certain things and we use easy methods of drugs, alcohol, something that gives us relief, knowing that it is very wrong and it's not an act of loving kindness. We do it. Like today, there is thunder, there is rain, and it's like the Buddha saying, some days there's only rain, and that's like people who talk and no thunder. They actually rain is working, doing things, and thunder is talking. Sometimes there's rain without thunder, and that is like people actually doing and not talking about it. Sometimes there's thunder, no rain. So that is like people talking about something and not doing it. Sometimes there's both rain and thunder. That is people actually doing it and talking about it. Sometimes there's neither rain nor thunder. It's like neither doing it and not talking about it. So these are four types of people who are dealing with addiction. They say they overcome it and they actually do it. So one decision is easy for them. Just one decision away, and that you just get straight to it. You are ashamed of it. There's resentment, and it's like abandoning a carcass in your body. You just quickly let go of it. This is not me. This does not truly represent my discipline and my core values, and you get rid of it. So Vasitacha Gajjitacha, they talk about it and they do it. There's rain and there's thunder. That kind of person. Just like today, there's rain and there's thunder. And there are people who talk about it, but they never do it. They fail at some point. That lack of control is affecting them. So there is thunder and no rain kind of people. And they will come to us and say, I will do it from today onwards. I will never do it. But they fail. They do it. They say they don't reveal it to work group, but they reveal it to close friends, and they can tell, please don't leave anything around me, and I will, I'm not sure if I'll have control over it. Sometimes these friends are helpful. Sometimes they are, they talk about things that can even stimulate these people. And lacking mindfulness, they fail and they fall into it. So sometimes people continuously do it until they are killed, that their body no longer can keep it. Their lungs, capacity of their lungs is very, very low. And they start coughing and coughing and coughing, and it becomes problematic to their own day-to-day routine, day-to-day life. So these people, and then there are people who neither talk about it and never do it, kind of people. And that kind of people have some control, and that if you look at it positively, it's like us who never have that kind of addiction, and we don't even have to talk about it because it's not part of our existence. It's not visible to us. We are blind to it in a way, but it's a good blindness. But then also there are other addictions. Addiction to work, addiction to exercise, addiction to food, addiction to gossiping, addiction to watching plane crashes. I had that for a bit. And then I saw the anxiety that it created in going in planes. And then I let go of it. After that, I'm fine. I can now fly without having to think about all the things involving it. It was a little addiction, but not a painful one. What happens is that when we feed our mind with a certain thing, it's like cat going by a mirror. It gets frightened, jumps. The cat or the mind doesn't see any difference of that experience. It thinks that it's a real experience. It's like when we watch something, our whole body mind thinks that it's actually happening to us. So it triggers something to the extent of an actual experience. And this happens also with addiction to killing, addiction to murder, like children playing computer games and they get so addicted to it. And these games become part of their lives and it internally vacuums their good qualities that although they think that it's done at the leisure time, it's taking so much of space and time of their quality time, schoolwork time, and that now they are failing, and now they are labeled as a failure by themselves. And when they feel like they are losers, they then try to take their own life in such an early age of their life. Um, with computer games, the other issue is that they have the opportunity to kill virtually, and at some point they may want to get like act upon it, really experience it for real. Now I can easily kill, and I may as well kill using real guns. And that kind of violence is entertained by the mind and eventually acted upon, and that is so harmful to the society. So these are different addictions and they exist around us, although we are not directly affected by it. There is some, that suffering in some form of the other. And pornography addiction is also another addiction that having continuous access to internet and not having quality time with oneself, teenagers tend to indulge too much in visual form and looking at the world with lustful eyes, with um, unpleasant, dirty, impurities in mind. And this may contribute to raping and all forms of wrong love and wrong relationships. Mostly it is selfish, self, self-related, that the kind of love that they say they are giving is actually about wanting something to oneself, not an unconditional form of love. It's something, it's because that person makes you feel good that you want that person. And when you can't have that person, you tend to go and kill that person. And that is actually not the right form of love. So we need to openly discuss about these and see the danger uh, before we fall into it. Especially as parents who are raising children, you may not even know what's happening until it's too late, and that sometimes it happens to parents who are doctors and their child is so smart and they make it to medical school and then they get into cocaine addiction. And as parents, they think that their job is to send them to a good school and you do it. And after that, the smart child falls into cocaine abuse and they have this irreversible damage in their brain and their life is somehow stuck somewhere. So I believe talking about it, we create the space here that people approach us and talk about things that are bothering to them and we raise awareness about such things. And I think the easiest way is to keep precepts like you don't lie about it, you don't steal anyone's credit cards, to use, order things. You don't steal anyone's address to order these things. I know this friend, he goes to his sister's place and then orders things to her sister's place. And when police raid the place, if this sister's good name is affected, police don't know who ordered it. It's that these people are so smart at hiding such things, and it affects everyone's lives. But there's more to life: hiking, spending quality time with your mother, father, if they are alive, and even loving yourself in your seclusion and radiating loving kindness to oneself and giving some good night's sleep to yourself. These are good things that we can do to look after ourselves. Breathing fresh air, enjoying the greenery, and this world has more beauty than we spending our time in the mind, being so narrow-minded and limited in our experience and addicted to certain things and not seeing the world beyond it. So I discussed about 25 minutes already, and we can open it for discussions. If you had anything that came to your mind, please feel free to share. Or nothing at all, we can close the session with that. When someone has a brother or a sister who has addiction, they tend to often ask money from other people, other brothers who are not addicted to things. That often becomes a problem because out of compassion, you tend to give money, knowing that what you should do is not to give them money. Because no matter how much money you give, you cannot give control to them, sense of control to them, that they will always be asking. So the givers have to set a limit, because takers don't have any, that they never know that limit of asking or not asking. Yeah.
I have a question. You were speaking earlier about people being ready to come to the middle path. Could you say a little bit more about what that would be like for people to take that step?
Middle path is the path toward ending of suffering. And for people who are dealing with addiction, middle path means, being willing to abandon the addiction and accept the instructions and actually take instructions seriously to avoid the triggers and stay on the path. And the first step of the middle, so in Buddhist middle path, there are 8 aspects of it. Come into avoiding misunderstandings and come into right understanding. And right thoughts. And you will question, how does that lead to ending of suffering? But the simplest answer is that having wrong thoughts, who's going to suffer? Oneself is the sufferer. And abandoning wrong thoughts, that simply shows that you are free and you don't have any suffering. Oftentimes, any thoughts rooted in greed, hatred, and delusion cause suffering. These are called poisons in mind. Any wholesome thought that is rooted in non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion brings you peace. And that is the ending of suffering right there. So the middle path is totally highlighting that one can live completely free from any form of suffering, even when there is physical pain. It's like pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. It's just that. So from right understanding, you go to right thoughts. And when your thoughts are right, your speech becomes pure and right. And when your speech becomes right, your actions, you think of your actions, bodily, verbally, mentally, mental actions too. We can kill someone in our mind and we can think of never doing that. And these become pure. And when actions become pure, your livelihood becomes pure. When your livelihood becomes pure, you make right effort to cultivate more wholesome things. That includes cultivating mindfulness, loving kindness. These are wholesome aspects. Anything that is good to yourself and others. And when your effort is made to cultivate wholesome and abandon the unwholesome, you can unify your mind. Right? And that requires right mindfulness, right amount of mindfulness to be mindful, and you arrive at unification of mind. So 8 things include right understanding, right thoughts, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right unification of mind. And the word right suggests that there are wrong unifications of mind. You can just focus on a wrong thing and stay forever thinking of it. But abandoning those and choosing something that brings peace to you, it will have this immediate effect on you because you are choosing truth, choosing something peaceful. And that the Buddha said that is what he awakened into. And he named it as the middle path because at that time he realized that he went to the extreme of self-mortification. And he also, as a prince, indulged in the extreme of sensual pleasure. And abandoning those two, he chose the middle path that was good for a monk, for a recluse. And he realized that these 8 aspects need to be cultivated, and that he has cultivated them. And having cultivated them, he declared that he is awakened. But in that last one, the unification of mind, it has many layers, deeper, profound layers of the mind. And when you open your mind, when all the layers are open, it's like a lotus being opened. And the beauty, fragrance, all open to the world. Why the lotus received the wisdom light, the sunlight, mind received that same wisdom, that as a light, dispelling all the ignorance, that is the darkness in the mind. When darkness abandoned, mind is full of light. There's luminosity, radiance in the mind. So these deep layers are opened by someone who is a yogi, who's willing to commit to a longer sitting and understanding what that brings in your experience. Sometimes when people think of it, it's too late, that they have been so busy with other things in life that they don't have the energy to sit that long, perhaps overnight, to discover something that is more meaningful to them. And this discovery reveals past lives and tendencies of our own mind and behavior and karmic patterns that can be avoided through right effort, discipline, and making adjustments in your day-to-day life. Did I answer your question? You're welcome. Anything you want to say? No. Yeah, another time. Okay, let's share. Do you have more questions? Okay, let's share merits. May the suffering ones be suffering free, fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, mighty beings, share this merit of ours. May they long protect us and protect the good teachings. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. Happy meditation and have a great rest of the day and evening.
Thank you.